Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Corrupt Crew Chronicles. Yeah, I'm about to tell you all today's a video day. Divine Spirit of my ancestors said, nope, you doing videos today. You cranking out videos. You gonna put in the rest of those claims and complaints tomorrow. I live to see it. So yeah, today's a video day, and I just am laughing because this whole situation is funny. Again, not funny about the abuse that's going on in there, what has happened, to those of us who are gone up out of there and stuff. No, not about that, but it's funny about, what is being done and what's coming. So yeah, today's a video day. I don't know how many videos I'm gonna put out, but yeah, today's just gonna be a video day. I'm sitting here and I know that they in service down there at this particular time, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, being in there in that circus coat just suck the life out of you. That's and it's coming from that circus code leader. Shitty one, nigga bum one, commander in chief of the clowns, chief of the terrorists. Yeah, it comes from him. He does it. He's an energy vampire. He's narcissistic. He has narcissistic personality disorder, and narcissists, master manipulators, they need energy. That's why he can never be alone. Really, he always got to be walk around. Have an entourage with him, and when I say that is he going to do something, or I remember sometimes he would be going like out of state, and doing that preaching, teaching mess, whatever you want to call it or whatever, and he would always solicit brothers who was in there to go with him and stuff, and it's just and that it's just, it can go on and on. I mean, it's just like, it's a beautiful. Where I'm located, it's the sun is out, it's beautiful. I mean, it's summertime. I mean, and they're in there all day, all night on a Saturday. Some of you all listen to me experienced it, who were in there. I experienced it. He cut off being able to sit here and go out after Saturday sermons service, after Saturday service. He cut that off. We got into that raggedy ass dump of a building that they in, and I read where you gotta can't go out, can't go do this, can't you gotta observe that day. Y'all know what he called it, that doggone Scooby-Doo yabba dabba doo language. But anyhow, this right here is a segue into about the sister that I'm very close with, and she gave me the green light. Sister Keita, she told me, she said I can say her name. She was like, I don't care. Since she was like, I don't care what you put out, out there, about her certain situation and everything when she was in there, her family. So I'm going to go ahead on in with what happened with Sister Keita and her husband and their children, their son and daughter, who are now grown and everything. And oh my gosh, I remember when they first, they were there before I came in. And I remember when I came in, and we just automatically clicked, me and Sister Keita. We just, automatically just a close relationship, and I know what that means. It's from past, and I'm not even gonna go there. She knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, and continue, that even after getting out of that circus cult, or as like Sister Keita like call it, the hellhole. But anyhow, so they came in January of 2008. I don't know I can't remember the particular day, but it was in January of 2008 when it was her husband, and their son and daughter. And they got baptized, as everybody did and everything. And so I'll never forget, I came in September of 2008, baptized. I went down there, got baptized and everything, and went on back to my home state and everything. In October, I remember of 2008, I remember where I was working, and I'll never forget, it was on the work, I was working that day, and like I said, they would send out the email, email all the members about things that was going on. Well, I never forget, this was the first time in October 2008, received an email from the secretary of that circus code, and it was to all the members of the circus code at that time about Sister Keita. And it was that she had her first attack. And now we know what it is. She's been diagnosed with epilepsy. She has seizures. She is what we call in the medical profession an epileptic. Yeah, she has epilepsy. Now, at the time, she didn't know. The doctors, were, doing tests, and they didn't know what was going on with her. Now, this was in October 2008, the very first time that she had a seizure. But again, at the time, they were being labeled as attacks because, she would actually fall. See where folks have seizures. Yeah. And so fast forward, her health just kept on, declining or whatever. When I say declining, I don't mean that, she just, was every day having seizures, but these attacks never went away. So they moved down to, and let me just say this, her husband left out from that circus code. Didn't leave her and their children. They still married, still living in the same residence, still, husband and wife, loving each other and everything. He left out, and I want to say that Sister Keita's husband left out in 2009. And if I'm not quite sure, if that's not the correct year, I know that she'll let me know and I'll come back on her. But yeah, I do believe that it was like 2009 that he left out, 2010. It was somewhere in between there that he left out on his own because he wasn't feeling it, anymore, not at all. And like I said, they were still together, still husband and wife, still lived now, and they lived out of state. So I want to put that in. They lived out of state. Actually, it was out of town members and everything. So fast forward, this is around, this was in 2013. And around that time before, and he started, that circus code leader started talking about, ones whose spouses, they was with them and they weren't in there. Either, they had come in with them, but they had left on out on their own, but they were still living together and still husband and wife, or either in some cases, where the spouse was in there and their spouse never did come in there, as a member, but they were, living as husband and wife and everything. So the service code leader started getting on that, talking about, and it's like I said, it's around like the end of 2012, beginning of 2013, he started saying, you with these spouses that are not in here or they left out, or never came in here, you're sinning, and how can two walk together except they be agreed? He bringing up there in the book of Amos, because that's in the book. I know that book myself, front, back, round and round. Sure enough, that Bible. That's what I mean by that book, that Bible. I sure do. And, and he was like, and just, and if y'all gonna have to leave, y'all gonna have to leave these spouses because they gonna, pull you away. And, y'all gotta have the same belief, and just going on and on and on and on. Some of y'all who's listening to me remember that. So I remember that Sister Keita, she would, we would talk very regular. I mean, even when she was an out of town member. And, by this time I had moved there, in March of 2009 is when I moved. There like 6 months after I got baptized. But anyhow, but we always were in communication, because we were very close. So even when she was an out of town member, again, we close. And so she would, we would be, talking and stuff, and we would be, talking about that particular situation. And I would just be, really a listener and just, encouraging, like, well, sis, it's going to work out, I'm like, Sis Keita, it's going to work out for you and for y'all, and, and everything. And I remember, one time she had sent me, I'll never forget this. It was a picture of her sitting there, and she had moving boxes. They were, they were the, and I can't remember where they come from, but moving boxes or whatever, they weren't taped up yet to put stuff in. Actually, had to put them together. But she sent me that picture. She was sitting there, and I'll never forget that she typed text, sis, I'm sitting here with these moving boxes, and I don't even, gotta move, down there, and I don't have any place to go. I don't work, and, and blah, 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 and basically, I'm leave my husband, and come down there and move down there with my 2 children, my son and daughter. Our son and daughter. And I'll never forget that. I will never forget that. And so, fast forward, her husband went ahead and decided to come back in to keep his family together. His wife and their 2 children, their son and daughter. So in June of 2013, let me just go back a little bit. Her husband, when working, he was on his job for like 18 years, a good job in a state where they're from, good paying job. Sister Keita never, ever worked. She has always been a stay-at-home wife and a stay-at-home mother during that time. Now, keep this in mind now, okay? So he's providing. He's a great provider and great brother. I'm gonna put this on. Insert this in. Hey, I'm stuck on I-285. They don't know what that means. That's an inside joke that we have. So, but yeah, he is just a wonderful brother, laid back, cool, calm. Just not all, I rule my house and, nothing like this circus code leader. And the thing is, he tries to, when I say he, I'm talking about that nigga bum one, that circus code leader. He tries, shitty one. He tries to make it out to be like the men aren't all aggressive and, I call it like a brute beast like him. Because that's what he is. He a brute beast. That circus code leader is a brute beast made to be destroyed. Seriously. And so abusive, barbaric. If they're not like, if a husband's not like that, and he just view them as, their wife just being outspoken, and which Sister Keita, she is. Those of you who know, she's outspoken, she's outgoing, she's upbeat, she's positive, but she's gonna let you know she is a strong sister. She is strong. When I say that internally, she's strong, okay? For real. And me and her is like the same with that internal strength. It's just we have different personalities. So I'm more laid back, the introvert, and she's the extrovert. She's more outspoken. Me, I'm going, I do mine in a different way. That's just as it. But she is strong, internal strong. But anyhow, so she just go ahead, and very much, tell it, like it is. And and not disrespectful to her husband at all. I have never, ever, and I've, been around them a lot. Never, ever has she's been disrespectful to her husband or anything like that. Well, anyhow, so fast forward, they moved down in June of 2013, and he got a job. He got a job, and I want to say he was working at Home Depot, actually, and if I remember that correctly. So June 2013. Well, Sister Keita, it was a Friday night. That was their first service that they came to. The Harris family came to. Was a Friday night service, and for them moving, down there for good. And so after service, of course, we would be cleaning the bathrooms. Some of us sisters, and then some of the brothers be cleaning the boys' bathroom, and then some of us sisters would clean the girls' bathroom. And so I just, I'm very clean, and I, even when I was, working there as assistant secretary, I'd still a lot of times clean the help to clean the girls' bathroom. So Sister Keita came back there, and she was helping too. So I was back there, Sister Keita was back there, and then it was a couple of other sisters in there all helping to clean and everything. Well, she was, really sweeping, and everything and working. She had an attack right there the first night of service. And I look at it like this, and I'm just going to, say this. I think that was a from divine spirit, a bad omen, meaning that they shouldn't have moved down there. Now that I look back on it, that's just me personally. This is not coming from Sister Keita. This is from me personally. Looking back and thinking back on it and stuff. Well, anyhow, she had what we call an attack, because at that time, again, they had the medical doctors had not diagnosed her with epilepsy, with having seizures. So if I remember correctly, they called the ambulance. Everybody, finished cleaning everything, and one got that service code leader and stuff. It's like, oh my goodness. And so, called the ambulance, I want to say, and then took her to the county hospital of where that, because this was when we was at the funeral home. We was still at that funeral home. So still in the same city that is in with that raggedy dump of a building, y'all, they still in now. But the same city, into that county hospital. So went to the emergency room, and I remember that a lot of us actually went, and we were sitting there in the waiting room, and I was one of them who did. And that service coach leader, he went too. And she was actually in a wheelchair, and I would never forget that. And so I remember also that this, Sister Keita, she was trying to get disability. And see, this is where the service code leader is such a hypocrite. He was like, oh yes, sis, talking to Sister Keita, oh yes, sis, yes, Sister Keita, you're gonna get that big money. Because with disability, they do back pay. If you get approved for that, if anyone gets approved for that, they'll go back. And that's, with Social Security disability or SSI disability, they'll go back. And a lot of times you get whoever, is the recipient of the disability, they get a big lump sum. Because normally a lot of times it takes up to like a year. Many times, if you have an appeal, that's even added on. And see, they'll do a back pay of a full year of when the applicant first applied. See, I know about that too. I sure do. Real good. Because like I said, I know about that. I just put it like that. And you get thousands. Not only from Social Security disability, but a lot of times also from Social SSI disability, if you've been approved for that as well, thousands from both of them, and lump sum, and then you get the monthly as well, the monthly payment. Well, he was sitting there and saying that, whatever. And I remember I even filled out Sister Keita's the one application way back. I filled it out or whatever, for the disability, actually. And I remember that. And so anyhow, fast forward, her husband loses his job. They laid him off. They didn't terminate him. They did not fire him from Home Depot. And it was like maybe about 2-3 months later. I think it was like in August, September. And he got laid off. They laid him off from Home Depot. And so, that, started with the service code leader starting on them as far as for looking at them as they gonna be a burden, because it's the husband and wife and they son and daughter. And so he started being funny towards them and putting out little shots towards them, from up there, standing up there, and everything. And so he started working for the one trucking service that the service code leader was a silent partner with. I call it private partner, but silent partner with the second assistant pastor owned it. The second assistant pastor who's still in there, and then also the one brother who's still in, one male. I just say that, who's still in there, or whatever. His wife is in there too, and she's in with that political stuff, and they in the truck and stuff. Well, anyhow, what happened was, and they were going out doing interstate runs. And so he, Sister Kita's husband was driving, the truck for interstate. So going out of state or whatever. And I can't remember what state they had went to, but Sister Kita went, with them. She went with him, on a run or whatever. And I remember, again, all this happened over at that funeral home. That service code got up there and he ripped them apart, talking about, and you leave Taj at home by himself, even though he was old enough to be by himself. And let me put that in there, because Taj, he was a teenager then. I think he was like, 13, 14? And he was like, you leave him by himself. And they left their daughter, with another sister. Actually it was a sister who he had to sit down as being an usher, because she had sex with track star usher man. And so because their two daughters, her youngest daughter, the usher's youngest daughter, actually was close with their daughter. And so, she was just like, keep, and everything was fine, whatever. I mean, it was fine. Didn't nothing happen with their son. I mean, he was old enough to be by himself or whatever. I mean, he wasn't bad or anything, didn't get into anything or whatever. And he was like, and I'll never forget, he looked out, that service code leader, again, we were over there at the funeral home, looked out, and he looked at that second assistant pastor, and he said, you know what you have to do. You know what y'all have to do. Looked him right in his eyes. And I sat there and I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, he's gonna fire him. He's gonna, get rid of him. They're gonna get rid of him. Talking about Sister Kita's husband, for truck. I was like, oh my gosh, because Sister Kita not working. She didn't have to. They out of state. Like I said, her husband has always worked, still working. I mean, providing for his family, for his wife and his and their children. So also that's when he started picking on Sister Kita, talking about, and you on Twitter and look at this, talking about Google Plus. It was back when Google Plus was big, and I think Twitter had just started coming out. But look at these pictures, and he was up there and posing, trying to be like posing, but you sick though. You talking about, he said, you just fake it. Ain't nobody doing all that. If you real sick, if you actually sick, you fake it. That's when he first started riding on her about that. So fast forward, we get over there, and he just riding and everything, and see, and I'm gonna say this, see how the universe, how divine spirit work. Her husband, Sister Kita's husband, Brother Joel, I'll just go ahead and say it because she gave me the green light. Brother Joel, he, like I said, I help, and it's not, like I said, it's always from the heart with me. And I asked him, hey, I can do your resume, because I knew he's gonna have to start looking for a job and everything. And so went ahead, did the resume, their resume and everything, and he went and he was only out of work for like a couple of weeks, if I remember correctly. It was not that long, and he went and he got a job, good job with this they did international business as well and everything. And he said, I remember, I'll never forget, we have moved. That's when by this time we was over there to the Circus Cult building that they're sitting in, that raggedy ass dump of a building now. And I'll never forget, Brother Joe, he said, yes, Sister Amber, he said, I want to tell you, I appreciate you, he said, for that resume. He said, when I went in from an interview at the company where he got hired on, he said, the manager, he was just impressed. He said, we're like, oh, this is a wonderful resume. And a resume is just, or in your cover letter is just what gets you an interview. And it's what he did in the interview, who actually got the job, for him, how he actually conducted himself, presented himself in the interview. And I let him know that. But yeah, it was a part of that. Yeah, because I want to see everybody doing well. Yeah, my brothers and sisters, that was wrong. And then also you had sit up here, and you up there now, Circus Code leader, talking about how shitty too, your whore is sitting right next to you in the truck when you going out. And even though you go intrastate, you stay within, you local, doing trucking local. Yeah. And then also the one partner, the brother, he was sit there and it wasn't actually his grandson, it was his wife's grandson, because they didn't have any children together. He would sit there and take him, and I can't remember that little boy's name, and I won't call it out, but he would take him on runs with him. So, and this was back when all this happened, when you was coming down on two grown folks, husband and wife, doing, and Sister Kita just joined in. Well, anyhow, we over here, we at the new building, that raggedy ass dump of the building. And so, she's still having attacks. And like I said, I went to one of I took her to one of the doctor's appointments with the neurologist. And at that time, they couldn't find out what was wrong. They say it's stress. Whatever it is, all the doctors say is stress is what's causing you. When she went to the homeopathic doctor that Service Code leader used to have some of them going to, and this sister on one of her videos, she talked about, this situation about him having her go, and then they had talking about he was going to pay for it, and then didn't pay for it. Stood up there, pay for your own doctor bills and everything, and they had to pay for that. But anyhow, that homeopathic doctor said the same thing. She said it's something that is stressing you out to make you have these attacks. Because again, they did not know that those were seizures at that time. And she said, and the homeopathic doctor said you got to go to a regular doctor, because she didn't have the machinery, to do the testing and everything. And then, like I said on one of my old previous videos, the one sister in there that's from the same state as Sister Kita, she took her to a neurologist, and that neurologist was just crazy off her rocker. When I say this, I'm talking about, talking to Sister Kita, well, your husband's beating you, whatever. And no, not at all. I mean, come on now. And that quack, I call it quack doctor, moved to Florida. But anyhow, so when she was going to these doctors, they just kept saying it's stress. And I can tell you now that, yes, she has been diagnosed, Sister Kita has been diagnosed with epilepsy. She is on anti-seizure medication right now to this day. I think she got diagnosed like over a year ago with it. Finally, she has good doctors around, and everything. And like Brother Joel, her husband, said, who's faking? And you send her getting all these doggone medical bills. Who's faking? Getting, having to pay these medical bills, these medical doctors and everything. And then also, Sister Kita also has been diagnosed with lupus and Sjogren's syndrome, and that's spelled SJORGEN''S. Both lupus and Sjogren's syndrome, those are two autoimmune disorders where the body is attacking itself, and it's with the joints. So yeah, and she's not on medication for that at this time because it interferes with her anti-seizure medication. And yes, so they finally did, and also what they cause, because there's different stressors that can actually cause seizures. My brother, he's an epileptic. He has seizures. He has the grand mal seizures, and he's been an epileptic since 2006. So 17 years. He has the grand mal where they get out, they the whole body convulsion and everything on the floor. And he's on anti-seizure medication, and it's a lot different stressors can cause it. One is actually staying up, not getting enough rest, sleep. Stand in that doggone radius dump of a building on Saturdays. Had us in there all day, all night. That could cause it. And that would cause it. She would have attacks. I remember she had an attack in that radius dump of building where, they wheeled her out in the wheelchair. And he just sitting there thinking, you're talking about she faking. She's not faking at all. Like Sister Keita said, she not getting a treat for this. She not getting a cookie. What? You think she want this? Again, in the bills and stuff they incurred? And now, she has a good team of medical doctors that work together, and have her straight. Yes, she still does, have them. And the thing about it is, she's been working for 4 years now. She had to, of course, start work back in 2019, or whatever. But I just want to put this out here because they had a good life, wonderful. And I'm talking about before coming into that circus cult, they would go on vacations, family vacations every year to Myrtle Beach for a whole week. Like I said, her husband, Brother Joe, provided for them and still provides. Like I said, they're empty nesters. Both of their, children gone. Their daughter is actually going on to college. And I'm not going to say which one because y'all try to hunt down and all that or what. But she's gone on to college. Very smart, very intelligent. Todd's wonderful, mannerable and everything. Just a beautiful, loving family. And he was jealous of that. Their circus cult leader was jealous of their relationship, jealous of the love that they have and everything with their family, with their children, how close they were, caring and all that. Yeah. And I wanted to get this out on this video. I know I went over some, but I wanted to get that out about that sister. She's not lying. She's not faking at all. And like I said, they finally got the diagnosis about a year, maybe about over a year ago, for them being seizures, the attacks that she was having. And then also she has lupus and Sjogren's syndrome. So again, shitty one, circus cult leader, ringleader of the corrupt crew, commander-in-chief of the clowns, chief of the terrorists. You ain't nothing but a fucking liar. And I can't stand you. And I mean that. I can't stand you. It's not hate. It's about what you do. So I don't harbor hate. I can't stand you. You're disgusting. You're vile. Standing up there, no, you're the one. And then used to talk about her husband, talking about he's slow. That man's not slow at all. He knew that them trucking, and when he was working for that truck company, they was doing wrong stuff, and they being reported. FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Them reports going in tomorrow for all y'all. I got the list right here for the corrupt crew for tomorrow. Like I said, today is a video making